Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? 4 out of 6 or 7 leagues this week, and one I'm tanking in. I feel pretty good. At least as of right now. We're recording this on Monday. My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me, as always, by the way. How'd you do, Rick?
I did good. Oh. I went 6-2.
Oh.
But the 2 I lost, I've been losing every single week. And I'm both in leagues with you in those leagues. So
that's gonna be I'm coming with you in 10-man band, dude.
Did you lose this week too?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty so basically I need Cooper Kupp to put up 0 and Jeff Wilson to just go off.
I have a feeling that won't happen.
Yeah, I'm going to say it won't happen either, which means I'll be 2-2 in that league. The champ is 2-2. Yuck.
Are you in a needs every inch?
Yeah.
At Dynasty League?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 4-0 in that league, and I think I'm the highest scorer, so I might go back to back.
It's one of the leagues I might win and go 2-2. Mike McDaniel's dad. That's my team name.
But do you have Tua or something?
No.
Or Waddle?
Nope.
It's not. You have no Dolphins.
I have no Dolphins.
But that's hilarious.
If I had a choice of coach on my Madden Ultimate team, should I just try to get Mike McDaniel as my coach? I feel like that's a good idea.
Honestly, that could be a good idea.
Be a good idea.
Be fun offense.
But anyway, so today we're going to do a little breakdown of the week. Hell of a lot faster than we did last week. I think we need to make our points in like 15 seconds.
Okay.
Anyway, and then we'll break down the week a little bit and then get into our waiver wire rankings for week 5, or not rankings, but tell you who to pick up on the waiver wire, who to target this week on the waiver wire for week 5 as we moved into this. Very interesting. I was looking at our home league. No one available, per usual, but there's a couple of guys that I was actually thinking about that are really intriguing to me this week as a target. So,
okay.
Especially at the running back position. I don't know why. That's not normally a thing, but we'll see what happens. So that's what we got today. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please leave a review. Share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below any questions you may have about this week. And if you're having trouble with players to drop or not drop, just let us know. Ask us questions. We'll answer them.
Yep.
All right, let's start with our segment, Real or Fake, and go through some of the... I'm trying to pull up the right tab here. There we go. Go through some of the guys that had blow-up performances this week and some guys who didn't, and tell you if that's going to continue or not continue, if it's real.
Is it real?
Or is it fake?
Or fake?
And we're going to start off with quarterbacks really quickly. Like I said, this is like lightning round, even though we like to discuss things. We're going to talk about number 1, the QB5 on the season, 4 weeks. Jared Goff.
He's
had 18, 30, 15, 38. 38 this week, or not 38. That is in a 5-point touchdown league. Forgive me, but he did have 34 points in a normal 4-point touchdown league this week,
which is crazy.
Real or fake with Jared Goff?
Fake for 34, but Goff I think is real, bro. His season numbers through 4 weeks is actually legit. He's got a good completion percentage, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions.
What's his completion percentage?
I'd have to pull it up.
I thought you said his completion percentage. Never mind.
It's a decent completion percentage.
11 touchdowns.
But yeah, 11 touchdowns is crazy, and he's about to get. He did what he did this week against Seattle, which granted Seattle's not a good team, but he did that without Amon-Ra, without DJ Chark, and without Jameson Williams, who's going to be making his season debut soon. And without Swift. When he gets all those weapons back, that team is just loaded with offensive talent.
Yeah.
And because of that, rest of the season, he could have some good weeks. Like, I'm definitely in on Goff, but 34 is definitely insane.
It's just weird quickly because Washington, Minnesota, Seattle, all easier matchups. But he had 15 against Minnesota in a weird game. So it's like this week playing New England. New England has given up a lot of fantasy points to the quarterback position. So you feel like that would be, maybe an okay start. But then New England, like in the first 4 weeks, most of those fantasy points that they've given up that has made
Lamar.
them was all Lamar. So it's like you take Lamar's game out, what are they at? And the totals are pretty low for the quarterback position. Even Rodgers didn't have a great week. So do you start Goff this week? Do you not start Goff this week? That might be a question for the starter sit show. But I am going to say continuing to me, if you're finishing as the QB1 or with 30-plus fantasy points multiple weeks in the first 4 weeks of the season, the consideration to me and the question of real or fake is this guy QB1? Is this guy going to be not QB1 necessarily, but is this guy somebody that you can start at, rely on as like the QB5 on the season where you can start them every single week with reliance? And I'm going to say that's fake.
Yeah.
I do think he's streamable, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He might be the best streaming option out there. I don't think he's even going to become a streaming option. I think people are going to pick him up and start him week to week, even though that might be a mistake.
I mean, we both have multiple leagues where we just have bad players at quarterback. So
the Trey Lance effect.
Do we pick up Goff and just start him and close?
If he's available, I don't even think he is though. But
Geno Smith QB2 on the week, 31 fantasy points. That is fake.
I'm going to agree with that. That's fake.
As fake as it can get. Russ. This is pre-Monday Night Football, so forgive us if there's some players in here that are different, but Russ is QB 3 this week, finally, with 26 fantasy points. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is real. It looks like Denver kind of figured a few things out. They still don't look great offensively, but I think there's a few things that they figured out, and Russ looks a little bit better, so hopefully that continues.
Real as well, they also might have to throw the ball more with the Javonte injury.
Yeah.
How about TB12, bro?
Tom Brady. I think that's real. I mean that offense has been pretty bad all year, so hopefully
it hasn't been bad. But now he's got the weapons back, and he throws 385 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I know. And then we had Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes with 21. Like I said, this is going to happen from week to week with Daniel Jones.
2 rushing touchdowns.
Because he does have they are treating him like he's Josh Allen in terms of the rushing. So they have a lot of designed run plays. They encourage the rushing. And so Daniel Jones is going to have weeks where this happens. The question is, can we figure out which weeks they do happen and which weeks they don't? Because he had 19 week 1, which is decent. This is not 5-point touchdown. Like, I need to get the frick out of here if I'm going to look up stats.
17 week 1.
17 week
13
1. So,
week 2.
This is fake.
14 week 3. 21 week 4.
Real or fake for you?
Fake, but he could be a stream option.
And
just because of the rushing.
It's interesting to see the last couple weeks as we've been looking at this. The top 10, usually around 10, 11, or 12, is where the 20-point performances start dropping off for quarterbacks, and you get into like the 17 to 19 range. So I'm starting to think maybe like 17 or 18 points ain't that bad. But
not too bad. Hey, how about Zach Wilson? 21 points, QB 10.
19 in 4-point touchdown leagues. You're doing the same.
21 on 21 because he had the receiving touchdown, so it was 6 fantasy points.
No, I have 19.
Oh, really? On the fantasy champs, he has 21. It says. That's weird.
Hold on, I'm in a different league.
In our home league, he had.
I don't know how they rate this
as
on.
Well. I don't know how
it could be like the PPR thing too, but this is just based on
because he had that's probably what it is because he had a reception.
But there is no option on Fantasy Pros to switch to the PPR. So anyway, Zach Wilson, I am going to say this is fake, and I still don't see him much as a streamable option yet, but if he does continue to show, this is his first game back, so if he does continue to show some improvement and have some success, then I'm interested in Zach Wilson. He is one of those young quarterbacks that could have rest of season value if he continues to perform like this.
Yeah, I would say streamable, but his schedule is brutal. They have the Packers, the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Patriots, the Bills, and then the Patriots again off the bye. So their next like 5 games is all good defenses. So
yeah,
a little bit nervous about that, but I don't know. We'll see.
So just when you jump on the hype train for Trevor Lawrence, Rick, he gets 6 points.
Yeah, 8 fantasy points in this league, but
real or fake.
I'm gonna say fake. I still believe Trevor Lawrence. He had 2 touchdowns. He had 4 fumbles. It was a game where it was very, very rainy, and I don't think that they were quite ready. Also, the Eagles' defense is elite. They've been a top 5 defense so far this year. I benched him in the leagues that I had him in. I wasn't expecting a good week. He's got Houston this week. If he sucks again, then send the alarms off. But I think he bounces back this week against Houston.
All right, so this is not necessarily a bust game because this is how this player has been performing, but I did want to bring him up real quick. Early season Justin Fields, weeks 1 through 4. Is he droppable at this point?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, he hasn't really done anything to make you worth a roster spot. I mean, he has 2 passing touchdowns.
He did look better this week.
He did look better this week, but still, like, the team is not good enough where he's going to do anything. And he had 22 pass attempts this week, and that was a season high.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some upward mobility offensively as he progresses and gets better as the season goes along, but yeah, they're just what you thought there was going to be for rushing upside just hasn't been there for Justin Fields. So, I think
the rushing is there; it's just 0 passing.
Well, no, the whole point of Justin Fields is that you thought, okay, maybe he only throws 200 yards and 1 touchdown a week, which is not great normally, but he can be carried with his rushing.
If he was
his
doing
rushing
that
is not
passing,
carrying him because of the passing not being there.
But if he was throwing 200 yards and a touchdown a week, he'd probably be worth it. Because he's getting like 50 rushing yards a game.
That's what I'm saying.
40 rushing yards a game.
If he was given the base floor is good, but he's not giving you good enough performances through the air. No. Which like if you told me in the offseason, if you could get 200, if you were getting 50 to 60 rushing yards a game from Justin Fields, you'd be like, oh yeah. And then you said 200 passing yards and 1 touchdown is his average per game. You'd be like, oh frick, I'll take that. But no.
Yeah, but then if I told you his average passing yards is like 110, then it's like, oh, he's rushing just the same amount as he's throwing. That's kind of not good.
No, that's not good at all. The only bust quarterback, big bust quarterback that I see here is, I guess you could say Jalen Hurts too, but he was QB 15. Was Lamar Jackson QB 19, 15 fantasy points. That is fake. That will not continue. Fake. Best defense in the NFL probably that he was playing this week. And then Jalen Hurts in a rain game scored a rushing touchdown, kind of saved his performance.
That's fake
but he
as well.
Had 16. That's fake as well. Let's talk about some running backs in PPR.
Okay.
In PPR. We're going to go to PPR here. I was in standard. I'm like, what is this? Austin Eckler bouncing back, 34 fantasy points. I don't know if Austin Eckler was listening to our podcast or something, but
I know.
We did say to trade.
Well, I did say on the podcast that I thought he was going to have a good week this week.
Yeah. So I think that's real, but be hesitant with the touchdowns.
Yeah, real, but again, 3 touchdowns. His snap percentage still isn't crazy high. It was 59%.
Josh Jacobs had 34, scored a couple touchdowns this week, looked really good. I think he's actually a low-key decent trade target. Not because I think there's a lot of upside with Josh Jacobs, but they have been giving him the ball, which is something that there was a lot of concern with, which was what pushed him in the 6th or 7th.
He definitely really did this week.
Yeah, so I think in terms of being the running back 2 in fantasy football and all that stuff, that is not going to happen on a week-to-week basis. But I think there is a good mid-range RB2 floor for him where he could be your RB2 or in a flex-worthy range. So I like Josh Jacobs this week. I don't think he's going to be worth a trade for this week because the person who has him is going to probably ask for a lot. So, but real or fake for you, Rick?
He's a tough one because I want to say fake, but I don't know if this week maybe unlocked something because in the first 3 weeks it wasn't appealing. He didn't have a crazy high snap percentage. He didn't get a lot of receiving work. But then this week all of a sudden he gets 28 carries.
Do you think it's
and
because
89% snap percentage and 2 touchdowns, and he had receiving work.
Do you
think
think
over 30 touches?
Do you think it's because Josh McDaniels came into the season, Brad Ziegler or is that his name? The GM for the Raiders. Was it Brian Ziegler?
Dave Ziegler, I think.
Dave Ziegler, thank you. I don't even know. But they got him Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, and I think he thought maybe, okay, we can throw this ball all over the field. And that just wasn't the way to win football games, and maybe it's to go back to set up the run like he did in New England.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what starts happening.
That's what I hope so. I would say it's real in terms of what you expected Jacobs from when you drafted him. Like for a 4th or 5th round running back, he's real. Like he's an RB. He could be an RB too. But I still think he's going to have weeks where he disappoints.
Yeah, I agree. Miles Sanders, you know what? I'm going to say real. I love this player. I think this could be the coming out party for Miles Sanders. I think this Philly offense has been great. Miles Sanders is the guy getting the ball. This is real, and I think he'll continue to have at least top 14 or 15 running back performances on a weekly basis.
Yeah, this will probably be one of his best games, though, because it was like the rainy game, so it seemed like they try to run the ball a lot more.
I know, Philly's played in 2 rain games so far, so keep raining.
I would say it's real. Like, I think he's, a startable guy every week because of how good that offense is, and he is the lead back. But I view him kind of similar to Jacobs. But again, considering where you drafted him, you got to feel really good about that.
You got to feel great. Yeah. Rashad Penny finally getting... I feel like I interrupted you. Is there anything else on Sanders?
No, that was it.
It's unlike you're about to say something and I just jumped on to Penny. Penny had 28 points this week. Pretty good. As far as being an RB1, I'm going to say it's fake for me. But I do feel like he does provide a decent floor in some aspects where he could probably be a flex-worthy play on some weeks. But this is, I don't think this is a sign of things to come.
I'm gonna say fake. I think he could have big weeks, but just on a week-to-week basis, like those first 3 weeks are hard to just overcome. Had a great week, but Detroit's defense is forward.
Damian Pierce, 25, real or fake for you, Rick?
I'm gonna say real. 25 is definitely a bit much, but he's real again. I think he's a startable player week to week. He's definitely the lead back there. In Houston, he's got a lot of talent and a pretty easy schedule.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Raiders, Tennessee. Then he does have one tough game against the Eagles, but then it's Giants, Washington. So has a couple pretty good easy matchups coming up. I'm going to say it's real.
Jamal Williams had 23 fantasy points. He continues to be a good play in the absence of DeAndre Swift. So I like him to continue some of these performances while Swift is out.
Even when Swift was there, he was the goal line back, which is unfortunate
sometimes.
But
I don't know how you have I would say he was in his draft outside of JT. He's probably one of the most talented running backs in that class, and they just have this obsession with Jamal Williams. I could see it knowing Dan Campbell. And
knowing the type, Jamal Williams is like the locker room leader.
Yeah, so I could see how that goes. But if Campbell was to lose his job at the end of the season or something like that, they would definitely move to Swift very quickly, whoever is the next coaching staff. Henry, normal, 23 points. Christian McCaffrey, normal, 25. Clyde Edwards-Helaire continues to produce signs of life
this game
for the opportunity share for Clyde Edwards-Helaire having over 20 touches.
Yeah.
Okay, so it
might be time to throw in the towel and say that he's...
Is this it? Is this finally, was 4 weeks enough for them to be like, all right, it's time to give Clyde the work?
Maybe. He still hasn't had a crazy snap percentage, but
what was his?
It's hard to deny it. He's gotten a touchdown pretty much every week, and he's in an elite offense. It's kind of what we thought.
56% of the snaps last night against Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
One of the best run defenses in the NFL, scored 22 points.
And now he's got the Raiders this week, and it's a good matchup. So
exciting.
That might be time to.
I think it's real.
Fire him up. Okay.
Love you, Clyde. Sorry for trading you. I tweeted that last night. I apologize. J.K. Dobbins had 22. I told you in the offseason I really like Dobbins. I projected him highly for whatever reason, and we just needed to see the opportunities come back. But it's clear, like watching Baltimore early in the season, about the only running back that they had was Lamar Jackson. So at this point, like having Dobbins, it really helps this football team a lot. Establish the ground game like they want to do. And it's clear that they haven't had a running back to do that. So Dobbins being back, I think this is real, and I think Dobbins will be good rest of season. He's at least a top 20 running back at this point.
Yeah, and I think Justice Hill got injured this week as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the game.
Okay.
And this will now be his third week coming back from the ACL. So I think Dobbins is going to start looking really, really good. I'm very in on J.K. Dobbins.
Nick Chubb continues to have success. Leonard Fournette still good. So a lot of interesting guys in the top 10. I think if there's one guy in the top 12 this week at the running back position that you don't want rest of season, which guy is it? Besides Jamal Williams,
I was going to say,
you take him
probably Penny. I'm just like, he's going to have his good weeks, but I haven't been impressed.
Now, I have a question. Did they just take Melvin Gordon straight out of the game after he fumbled?
They did a little bit. Yeah, they used Mike Boone a lot. He got benched, but then while he was benched was when Javonte tore his ACL. So they were kind of forced to throw him back in the game. But I think if it wasn't for that, he would have been benched the whole game.
Okay. This is probably Mike Boone is probably a question for the waiver show, but and we'll get to that portion when we get there. But are we worried about Melvin Gordon moving forward? Or do we?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, unless he still fumbles, like.
I know.
But I feel like now that Javonte's out of the picture, he's got to be the guy, right?
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to say that horrible, terrible performance is fake if we want to do a real fake for him. 2, Jacksonville Jaguars running backs. James Robinson, 2.9. Travis Etienne, 3.2. It's a bad week for the Jacksonville backfield. I actually think as the season goes along, both these guys have decent upside on a week-to-week basis. So, and they split evenly right down the middle. I haven't looked at stat percentages for that game yet, but
Etienne had a 51% snap percentage.
Here we go. Let's go.
Robinson had 48.
Yeah, so this is going to be a 50-50. If it's close or if they're in a negative game script, Travis Etienne and James Robinson are going to split. So do you think these basically 5 points together from Jacksonville's running back committee, does that continue or is that real or fake?
No, that's fake. Tough game for the Jaguars offense as a whole.
Yep.
But I think they bounced back. They got Houston this week.
Jonathan Taylor got hurt in this game, 3.3 fantasy points.
Even when he got hurt at the end of the game.
Look good. He doesn't look
20 carries, 40 yards. What in the world is going on with the Colts? I need to watch more Colts games because I haven't watched a ton.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a little bit of the Chiefs game and the Jaguars game, and they got cooked in the Jaguars game.
Wow.
And then they were getting cooked this week. Made a little bit of a comeback and won, but they have not looked good at all. And Jonathan Taylor has not looked good at all. And I don't know, like, what if it's the offensive line, if it's the coaching staff, if it's Matt Ryan, or if it's Jonathan Taylor. I don't know what really is going on, but I'm definitely a little concerned. I mean, you still obviously is Jonathan Taylor, and you're going to start him as long as he plays, but it's kind of like what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. Kareem Hunt had 8 points this week. That's going to happen from time to time with Kareem Hunt. Really, the backfield is kind of at a point where it's like if one of them scores a touchdown, they have a good fantasy week. If they both have a good touchdown, they have a good fantasy week. So it really just depends on who the touchdowns go to this week. Obviously, Nick Chubb. So Kareem Hunt gets 8 points. As far as real and fake, I would say that's about real for Kareem Hunt. He's going to have good weeks. He's going to have bad weeks. This is happening to be a bad week. Do you have any thoughts on Kareem Hunt?
No, that's Agreed.
All right, and then A.J. Dillon had 9 points. Same thing. I think it's the same thing with Kareem Hunt. Like some weeks, A.J. Dillon's going to be really good. Some weeks, A.J. Dillon's going to be 9 or 10 points, and that's going to happen.
Yep.
Gibson had 9 points this week. Real or fake?
That might be real. Brian Robinson's come back, and Gibson hasn't. Other than week 1 where he was great, and then weeks 2 and 3 he was okay, and it's like he's getting worse every week. And now Brian Robinson's coming back. It's starting to trend downhill for him. There's one more guy who did really bad this week that you skipped over. That
did I skip?
I don't know if you were going to bring up.
Go ahead.
But Najee Harris.
Well, I always miss Najee. I don't even see his name.
Yeah.
It's just kind of invisible on my screen.
7 fantasy points. He has not scored more than 13 all season.
Oof.
Are we real or fake on Najee?
I mean, opportunity's still there.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say fake for now. We got to see Kenny Pickett threw 3 interceptions in his first 2 quarters of play or whatever it was. So
he was 10 of 13 though.
There was times where he looked really good. Yeah. When you get him in there on a game plan where Kenny Pickett is the guy and they can kind of control the game a little bit more and not be losing or put their faith in Kenny Pickett, he's the opposite of what the Patriots did. But
yeah, I honestly think Pickett looked okay. I mean, the 3 picks.
Do you know out of all the rookie quarterbacks this year, the first one to score a touchdown in the NFL is Bailey Zappi?
Yes, sir.
That's ridiculous.
Hilarious.
But yes, I'm going to say it's fake for now. Obviously, what the anticipation was for Najee Harris and what you're getting now is different. So I think you have to lower the bar for the expectation level. But I think that he'll be fine.
I'm going to say it's real. I was lower on Najee Harris pre-draft, and I'm still low on him. I do think if Pickett plays and is good, that will change, or that will make Najee Harris back to, I think, what people hoped he would be. But as long as the Steelers' offense sucks, Najee's not going to have like great weeks, even if he gets the workload. Like he can get 13-point weeks and 14-point weeks, which will be okay and solid, but he's not going to be an RB1 until the offense figures it out. And he's got Buffalo and Tampa next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's tough. All right. Let's move to wide receivers quickly. We have Justin Jefferson. Wide receiver 1. Here we go. I'm not going to ask real or fake because we know what he is, but I'm just excited that he finally had a wide receiver.
I know. It's weird that I thought he would be more like a stable, like 20-point a week guy, but he had 39, 10, 4, and then 31. So
yeah, that's known as Jamar
kind of been all over the place.
Anyway, yeah, Jamar Chase had like 10, 12, 15.
Yeah, I know.
Not a 20 game. Mike Evans has a good week. Tyreek Hill had 25, so he had a good week. 25 from T. Higgins. DK Metcalf had 21 after following up 17 against Lions. I think that's more of a, to me, I think that I guess that could be a real or fake. Real or fake DK Metcalf. I'm gonna say fake.
Fake, agreed.
Because I don't believe in Seattle's offense at all, but they did have a decent week this week.
Yeah, I think that was more of the Lions' awful defense and the Seahawks' great offense. But who knows? I mean, and if you're going to buy anyone in the Seahawks offense, I would recommend it's DK Metcalf. But I still think he's going to be really inconsistent all year.
Did Dallas play on the Thursday Night Football game? No, they didn't.
No, they played against Washington.
This is just CeeDee Lamb being good 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it is.
All right. I'm going to say I like it. I like it, CD. Keep
going, I'll buy back in. The moment he dropped that pass on Thursday night, I was already like on the fence of being out.
Did you see him laughing? He was laughing, and he runs into the huddle and says, "I'm sorry," and then ends the game with that freaking one-handed catch.
I know.
And it's like,
but at the point where he dropped the pass, he hadn't been good, and then he just dropped like a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he was disappointing last year, and it's like, okay, now you're disappointing 2 years in a row. Like, it becomes a point where he's overhyped. But 2 good weeks in a row, it looks like he's climbing back into that well-deserved hype, and then hopefully Dak comes back and he keeps it up.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's real too. Josh Reynolds, wide receiver 7, 21 fantasy points. That's fake byproduct of not having any
great
weapons.
DFS play, though.
Yeah, good DFS play. Jamal Agnew, wide receiver. Thought he was a running back, but I guess
he's running back receiver hybrid.
Yeah, so wide receiver 8
fake.
on the week, 21, super fake.
Zay Jones was out, wasn't
he? Zay Jones was out. So, my goodness, my Zay Jones role looked pretty good this week, except, he wasn't playing. So, Hollywood having 20 points again. That continues to be a good line. And then you have Mike Williams, Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks, all guys that you kind of expect to perform somewhat well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of some good guys there. As far as busts, man, it's such a long list of players. I got to skip all the 0-point guys Christian Kirk had a really bad week, didn't he?
Kirk, I think he had it was single-digit points, but I think it was 8 or 9. So still not a good week. But
yeah. Let's see who we got here. Terry McLaurin.
Your guy McCall Hardman, 1 fantasy point. 2 weeks in a row.
I'm gonna drop him this week. Don't worry. Terry McLaurin, 3.5 fantasy points this week. He actually was. I would say I looked at his numbers yesterday, and he's actually been okay. He's been floating at I would say an average of 12.5 fantasy points a game in PPR, which is okay. It's not great. It's like wide receiver 24 numbers, but
yeah, through 3 weeks, I think he was a top 16, 17 wide receiver, which is okay. But dude, I don't know. McLaurin is just. I had my a couple years ago when we did 10-man band our dynasty, one of the dynasty leagues we were in. I made my receiver core DJ Moore and McLaurin. I went all in on those guys, and I was like, I'm lit for the next 5 years. This is my core. Now they both suck.
Oof. Deontay had 4.2 points. To me, I feel like with Deontay Johnson, this is I think this is in line with what is going to happen all season for him. Not in terms of getting 4 points, but there's going to be weeks where he just gets 20, and then there's going to be weeks where he gets 4 because the Steelers ball. And that's about what's going to happen. So there'll be good weeks for him. There'll be bad weeks for him. This happens to be a bad week. So just hold on for dear life with Deontay Johnson. Drake London had 3.7.
Oh, okay. Finally came back down to earth.
Yeah, Atlanta blows. And I think the faster you realize that Atlanta blows, the better. And
they're 2-2.
They are 2-2, but the offense was bad.
Yeah, their offense is not good.
Rashad Bateman, 4.7. Did he leave the game with an injury?
He did, but he wasn't really doing too much when he was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play the fourth quarter, so he had that through 3 quarters. So
we have Jalen Waddle with 5.9. Real or fake? I'm going to say fake.
Yeah, fake. Although, how long is Tua out? Because that will matter.
They said he's out this week against the Jets.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, go Jets! 3-2, baby. It's on the horizon.
No, please don't. This is I kind of want if anything, yeah, as a Patriots fan, let's hope the Jets win this game. Michael Pittman,
stay in last place.
6.1. The Colts have been bad. Pittman's been a bright spot for the most part when he's been there. This week, having a tough week, 6 points. So
that's fake, though.
Yeah, that's fake. Garrett Wilson, 6.1. Rookie wide receiver.
I'm a little nervous about that because Zach Wilson, I thought it wouldn't really matter, but it seemed like his favorite target was Corey Davis was his security blanket. And he looked for Elijah Moore more than Joe Flacco did.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson still had 6 targets, but that's not near where he was getting with Flacco when he was getting 14 and 11.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing to play. I wouldn't start Garrett Wilson. I was all in on him, but now I probably wouldn't start him next week. But keep an eye on him. Maybe it was just a bad week and they grow a connection, but we'll see.
All right, tight ends. TJ Hockenson. Real.
Yeah.
That's just because he's on my
team. 40 is 100% fake, but...
No, he won't. I mean, when we ask real or fake, it's more or less can tight end...
he's real for what he is.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But my opinion of Hockenson hasn't changed from...
Keep doubting!
Last week.
Keep doubting those 39 points, Rick.
I had him as my start of the week at tight end. who was on TikTok. I did start of the week at each position. At tight end, I had TJ Hockenson, so
Okay, right.
I knew he was gonna have a big week. I liked his situation, and I still like him rest of the season, but like he is what he is.
Whatever. Moali Cox, tight end 2.
Fake. What's up with the Colts and just like random
I can't figure it out. Fake.
Yeah, fake.
Travis Kelce, tight end 3. Gerald Everett, 17 points. He's been pretty good on the season. I think he continues to be a tight end 1 for the rest of the season. He'll be in the top 10 by the end of the season.
If he's still going to get a lot of targets when Keenan Allen comes back, but he's still real.
Question. Yeah, I would be okay with him rest of the season. Zach Ertz was 16. Freiermuth with 15. Didn't matter who the quarterback was, I guess, for Muth.
There you go, Muth.
We continue rolling. Will Disley, tight end 10, 13 fantasy points. I'm going to say that's fake.
Fake.
Okay, so this guy, Chigazium Aquan, I don't even know how to say your name, bro. Tight end from Tennessee. This guy is a speedster. He's fast. 12 fantasy points.
He had one fantasy point going into this week.
Yeah, he's fake. That's a fake situation there. You probably, you paid Austin.
But he's
Hooper
a speedster and a rookie, so maybe watch out for the name.
Watch out for the name. Hayden Hurst, 11 points. He's actually been an interesting feature in the Cincinnati offense. I don't think there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of opportunity, but this, little 8 to 10 point weeks could continue happening for him.
I'll say fake, but you're right. I think he's. And if you're really desperate for a tight end, he should be on your list of consideration. I just don't think he's like great,
Yeah, I agree. Kyle Pitts, 3 points again. What are we doing?
I have no idea. They had 17 completions. Did you see? There was an interesting stat too that routes ran in the game. Kyle Pitts was like 5th on the team, which makes 0 sense for Atlanta. They're using him as Arthur Smith is using him. In a lot of blocking situations, and are trying to make him like George Kittle.
Imagine drafting a tight end in the first round to block.
Yeah,
in the top 5 of the first round to block.
It doesn't make any sense. I really hope you didn't draft Kyle Pitts, but I would still trade for him. You can get him cheap.
I guess so. I go buy low. Kyle Pitts. Right. Maybe we'll throw him on the show. Mark Andrews had 3 points. Now, Rick, this week I was playing Mark Andrews. My opponent had Mark Andrews. I had TJ Hockenson. If I told you coming into this week just the fact that a tight end in this game was going to score 39 points, would you have said TJ Hockenson or Mark Andrews?
No, I would have said Mark Andrews.
Yeah, 1,000%. Sure. He gets 3 points this week, has a tough game. This is fake. He'll continue to be okay. But this is just the tight end position as we know it.
Yeah, but I mean, his last 2 weeks was 28 and 25.
Yeah,
so.
it was bound to happen. I was actually
it was bound to happen.
Do you see any more tight end busts in here?
Because
we got to get to waiver wires.
I think that's probably it.
Okay, let's talk about some waiver wire ads for this week, and get into the meat and potatoes of this show, the real portion of it. And then as always, the Tuesday show is a light breeze for you.
Yes.
So I hope your drive to work was very long for this show.
Yeah, I hope you got stuck in traffic.
I hope you got stuck in traffic and had to listen to our voices. So we're gonna start with the quarterbacks. Last week I gave you first choice, Rick, right?
Yep.
Okay, so all right. So I'm gonna give you Jared Goff, number 1 at quarterback as a pickup this week. 48% owned in leagues. This 1,000% Jared Goff should be rostered. I still haven't decided. Early in the show, I referenced Jared Goff having the matchup against New England, and most of the fantasy points came from Lamar Jackson's game. So I don't know how that at the end of the season is going to reflect. I would say on paper and in games, when you watch the film, the Patriots defense is a lot better against the pass than it is shown in the fantasy points department. So I would be more concerned about Jared Goff against New England, but I definitely think he's worth rostering. And I think that there's going to be situations where you're going to be able to slide him into your lineup. I still think he's streamable. I don't think he's a week-to-week guy, but knowing the situation that Rick and I have in multiple leagues where we drafted Trey Lance and now we're trying to find a quarterback desperately, Goff is a guy that both of us are probably going to try to target this week.
Yeah, Jared Goff should be number one on this list. I'll give you a couple names that I think are frisky. I don't love them, but Tannehill against Washington is a good matchup for this week. He's been getting like 19, 18 points a week other than the Buffalo game where he got 2 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So he's been okay. Again, your streaming options are kind of weak, but not a bad matchup, and he's been okay. And then if Carson Wentz somebody probably dropped Carson Wentz because he's had back-to-back really bad weeks.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be Carson Wentz. I think he's going to be up and down all year. Could be an up week against Tennessee, where he has some trash time points and ends up getting you 20-something fantasy points. And then one sneaky long-term option, I got to say, Zach Wilson. Long-term, though. I wouldn't play him this week.
What about Bailey Zappi?
I love that he's on this list.
So hilarious.
No.
I also would like to reference sucky, trashy bag quarterback Geno Smith, who has had 2 30-point performances as well, I believe. Or maybe just the one.
He had 20, in our league. So 5-point touchdown league. I don't know. So 4-point touchdown league. He probably had like 17, 7, 19, and then like 30. So
yeah.
Not bad. Kind of similar to what Tannehill has done.
Yeah. I think he's not bad as an streamable option. If you need a quarterback, because they're definitely going to be there as an option. So those are quarterbacks. Good. Easy money. Let's move to the running back position and talk about some different guys. I'm going to say the first one for me, because there's a lot of guys this week that I think are addable, and I'm going to go out on a limb. A lot of people are going to say Brian Robinson. I think that's a good ad, and we can talk about that once. Like, I don't know if Rick's going to take him or not. But I'm actually going to say Rashad White from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the reason why I say Rashad White is because there was, for some reason this week, there was an increase in snap share. And he had 5 catches for 50 yards, 3 rushes only for 6, which is disgusting. He had a rushing touchdown in the game. I think... obviously, I think that the Buccaneers are just going to run old man Leonard Fournette into the ground.
Yep.
But, I don't know if that's going to last. Because at some point, he's dealt with injuries his entire career. At some point, something's going to happen to Lenny. And Rashad White clearly has the second role. And I actually think Tampa doesn't necessarily want to give Leonard Fournette as much work as they've been giving him. I think they would love to get another running back involved like they did with Ronald Jones last year. And so I feel like Rashad Penny is a great ad this week. And you probably...
Rashad White.
So used to saying Rashad. White is a good ad this week. And I don't know that it's going to cost you any waiver budget.
Yeah, that's a good one. I had him in the home league, and then I dropped him. I kept adding him and dropping him, and then I knew he was going to have at least one good week, and I wasn't going to pick him up again. That happened to be this week. He's at the very least a good handcuff. I think Brad Robinson is a good choice, but I'm going to say Tyler Algier. With the Cordell Patterson news, he's on IR.
Yeah.
What is it? Algier?
I think it's Algier.
Algier. Okay. Yeah. With Algier, Patterson is on IR and could even miss more time. It's a knee injury. Obviously, the Falcons' offense is very gross, so I'm not telling you to plug him in and start him. But if you're really desperate for running back, he could be decent. He had 11 fantasy points this week playing in just a 44% snap percentage. Mm-hmm. He was at 8 yards per carry, which is really good. I did tune into the game a little bit, and the announcer for that game was saying that he thought Algier was actually better than Cordell Patterson for his running style. Mm-hmm. Said that he was a better pure runner and was very downhill, knows how to get the yards. So not a bad ad. Again, not trying to start him, especially this week. He's got Tampa Bay.
I agree.
And in a gross Falcons offense, but good ad.
The only reason why I take Rashad White above him at this point
I would too,
me,
by the way. I would take White above him.
Is because Tyler okay, that's good. I was like, in my mind, I thought you picked first and you took Tyler Algier for whatever reason. But anyway,
no.
The reason why I did take him for Rashad White first is because I think he's in a better offense in Tampa than Algier is. And so I don't think there's a lot of like upside for Algier. But I do think he's a wonderful ad. I think he probably is free as well. Because there was another guy that got snaps and he actually out fantasy pointed Tyler Algier this week. I can't remember his name. Huntley?
Yes, he scored a touchdown. But Algier. See, now you're gonna.
He needs a nickname. Tyler. Just call him Ty.
Okay. Ty had more yards per carry, so
yeah. I think other interesting ads are obviously Brian Robinson. With him coming back, he's rostered in 45% of leagues. So just check your waiver wire, see if he's available. I would add a couple of bucks on him because I do think that they liked him. They'll probably ease him into any kind of role that he has because he got shot in the leg, so he probably has been rehabbing that leg. I saw a kid, obviously completely different injury, but there was a kid that I knew that played high school football, and he worked out like every day. Quads were ginormous, and he tore his ACL in a game. Couldn't work out that. He worked out one leg, the leg that was not screwed up, and he couldn't work out the other leg, and you could see big differences. So, like, if Brian Robinson couldn't do stuff with the one leg he got shot in, there's obviously, not that I'm saying he lost muscle mass in his leg, but there's going to come situations where like he probably isn't going to be a guy that you can just throw on the field right away and give him 20 carries.
No. Oh, I don't think he will. If anything, that Washington backfield right away will just be gross because they're probably going to give all three guys work.
Yep.
So yeah, but I would throw in Mike Boone as well. It's gross. It's much grosser than the other guys we talked about, but he's going to have a role, especially passing. He had 3 targets this week. Feels like he's going to be the passing down back now that Javonte's out for the year. Melvin Gordon will be more of the first, second down, and goal line back, but I think Mike Boone will have a role in the passing game. So in PPR leagues, could be worth an ad, cheap ad.
Okay. Any other running backs you want to talk about?
No, I think that's probably it.
All right. Let's move to the wide receiver position. Very interesting because I just looked up the first guy that's on this list. And now I'm deciding. I'm gonna take George Pickens. I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you George Pickens is the wide receiver pickup for me of the week. If he is in many of my leagues, he's rostered. Right now, it says 38% of leagues on that he's rostered. Fantasy Pro says he's rostered in 38% of leagues, so he's probably available for you. He has a good rest of season schedule, and he had 8 targets, 6 catches, 7 targets last week against Cleveland. So he's starting to see an increase in target share. I don't love the Steelers' passing attack. I think there's a lot of bad things that are there, and I don't know how efficient it's going to be on a week-to-week basis. But I'm going to say this now. George Pickens is better than Chase Claypool. And I think he is
That's how it's looking.
I think he has overtaken Chase Claypool for this number 2 role on the team. So if that is officially happening, you need to get George Pickens on your team now. And I would put a large chunk of waiver budget on him to do that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think at this point he looks better than Claypool, and Pickett seemed to throw to him more. And it seems like because they have probably that training camp connection, both guys are rookies, they've been working together, might have more of a connection. So Pickens is a good choice. I wasn't planning on saying this guy, but he is available in still about 60% of leagues. It's Michael Gallup. We talked about him last week, saying that you should pick him up before he plays, and apparently a lot of people still didn't. He's still rostered in a decent amount of leagues, but available in a decent amount of leagues as well. He's about the same as George Pickens. So if Michael Gallup's available, you got to pick him up. He's the clear second wide receiver on the Cowboys this week in a limited role. Didn't do too much, but he still had 10 fantasy points. Rest of the season, I think he's going to be very solid, and could get you like low end, but around double-digit points every single week.
Yeah. Myers is owned in a lot of leagues.
Yeah. What about your guy, Isaiah McKenzie, with Jameson Crowder out for the year?
Yeah. I think that he was probably going to take the slot role anyway.
I think so too, but they were at least like kind of sharing it.
But now they are forced to give Isaiah McKenzie the slot role. So I love him. I said last week, him and Zay Jones are the waiver wire ads of the week for me. They continue to be good ads if you don't have them. So if McKenzie wasn't added yet, 33% of leagues, you should grab him. Zay Jones was out this week. So if he's not rostered, only rostered in 32% of leagues, I would go out and grab him. You saw what happened with Jamal Agnew, and how they were able to utilize him and target him. And I think that that's the role that Zay Jones plays, where they put him. So not that he's going to score 20 points on a week-to-week basis, but I think there's a role for him in that offense. Outside of that, there's not really a whole ton of players that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Sky Moore is interesting. He finally got a couple of targets. I was going to say that.
He did. Still hasn't really done anything, but
no. I mean, which
he did. He did get involved more, which is good to see.
4 targets. Somebody tweeted he's bathing in targets. He had 4.
2 guys I think that I would note. Definitely not Rondell Moore because he sucked. Looks like he hasn't really changed from last year or how they use him. But Kadarius Toney is an interesting one. The Giants are, they seem to hate him. And he is in the doghouse. But if they do decide to play him, he's going to have opportunity there with the Giants. I don't know how well it'll be with Daniel Jones, but there should be some opportunity there.
Shepard gone,
and then Jameson Williams. What is it?
I was going to say, with Shepard gone, Kenny Golladay being completely worthless, the only wide receiver left at this point would probably be Kadarius Toney. So they have to play him. I mean, this is...
They played Richie James over him, though, in the beginning of the year. So I don't know what they're doing with him, but it feels like they do have to play him, and then we'll see how that situation plays out. But he should be rostered. And then Jameson Williams, I think, is another guy to keep your eye on. Should be coming back soon.
They said there's no time.
I don't know how well he's going to be when he comes back right away, but he is going to be in a very good offense. So could see some big plays out of him when he comes back.
All right, Rick and I will both give you one tight end, and then we'll wrap up this long show.
Okay.
I hate tight ends. I can't. Irv Smith Jr. is my guy. I like Irv Smith. I'll take
good choice. Good choice. Let me just confirm this before I say it. Tyler Conklin with Zach Wilson still did okay. Not great. Conk. Had 8 fantasy points, which still isn't good, but he's still a top 10 tight end, so I guess he should be rostered, right?
Yeah.
Pick him up.
I gave you the softball.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there you go. Waiver wire ads, recap of this week. Certainly was a fun week to watch. Can't wait for week 5 to float around and for us to see good football on Thursday night. We're going to do a Thursday night preview show tomorrow. Be sure to check that out. And then we got the rest of the content coming up later in the week. See you later, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.